Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. My name is SkyLaaa, and today I will be using a full team of Pokemon based around characters from Omori. Special thanks to Spooky for the team idea. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below. Since I'm just starting out, I will do whatever team people comment, assuming there aren't too many requests. Otherwise, I'll just choose the highest thumbs up comment. Without further ado, let's get right into the battles. So I'm using an Omori team today, and first and foremost, this is my first team. This is my first video doing this. This is all live narration, no cutting, nothing. Well, I did cut the battles, but anyway. So my opponent leads Ceruledge. Best lead matchup for me, honestly. Shaman could not do anything to this, so I'm gonna swap out into my Lycanroc, which I thought Hero was pretty good fit for. Now, I'm running Choice Scarf on this. I barely tanked the Shadow Claw into the Shadow Sneak, thank goodness, and I'm able to take it out with the Stone Edge. Now, it's good that they went for Shadow Sneak because it kind of hides the fact that I am Choice Scarf on this. I'm running Stone Edge, Crunch, Close Combat, and Drill Run on this. Now, I didn't want to risk another priority move, potentially, from Decidueye, so I'm going to swap in Kel, which is my Passimian. This Passimian set was just beautiful. Now, the Decidueye is actually going to go for U-turn on me, so that sucks. I actually had a bit of a surprise for this Pokemon. In comes Gengar. Yeah, this Pokemon was really hard to switch into. I didn't really have any switch-ins, so I barely lived a Sludge Bomb, thank goodness, and I'm able to get off a Shadow Ball versus this Gengar. I'm running a fully special Passimian. I have Focus Blast, Vacuum Wave, Energy Ball, and Shadow Ball with the Fist Plate to boost my, boost that amazing Vacuum Wave. Anyway, going back out into my Lycanroc here, I opted to just go for the Crunch. They didn't know that I was Choice Scarf because they used Shadow Sneak versus me earlier. I get Curse Bodied, unfortunately. But I take out the Gengar, which is really nice because, again, that Pokemon is a massive threat versus me. So in comes the Umbreon. This Pokemon is really annoying, and I don't like it at all. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It's just a bulky defensive Pokemon, and I just have bad memories versus it. So it's going to go for the Snarl versus me. Luckily, I'm not running a Special Shaman on this. I'm running a Swords Dance Physical Shaman. So I have Swords Dance Bullet Seed with loaded dice. I have Trailblaze to boost my speed, and I have Play Rough. So I was going to go for the Play Rough versus this, but unfortunately it Thunder Waved me. It's not the end of the world because I do have Natural Cure. The Umbreon is going to opt to swap out though, and in comes Mismagius. Now, I didn't know what this Mismagius was running, if it was running like Nasty Plot, Calm Mind. Play Rough misses, because of course it does. Honestly, if it didn't miss, I was probably going to get paralyzed anyway. So I'm going to swap out. I don't know what this thing's going to do to me, and I want to heal the paralysis that I got with my Natural Cure, so I'm going to swap in Aubrey. Now, this was a really interesting set that I had with another Pokemon on my team. More on this later because I actually have an eject button on this set, so I'm going to get swapped out immediately, and I'm going to go back out into my Choice Scarf Lycanroc. Now, I do a bit of a misplay here. I could have opted to Stone Edge since Stone Edge really didn't have any defensive countermeasure, but I saw a super effective move, click, right? I was going to go for Crunch here, and unfortunately, it doesn't do much to Umbreon, and even more unfortunately, it has a Rocky Helmet, so there goes my Lycanroc. Definitely should have went for Stone Edge on that turn, though. Whatever, I'm just starting out with these battles. I'm not some super expert in singles, at least not yet, right? So this is a really interesting Sylveon set. I have it paired with another Pokemon on this team. So I have Skill Swap on this, so I'm going to Skill Swap Pixelate to the Umbreon. Now, this is funny because I actually got synchronized, so when it went for Thunder Wave, I was able to synchronize the paralysis back to the Umbreon, which was, it's a pretty funny interaction. I didn't really mean for that to happen. Now, the other moves I had on this were Moonblast, because obviously if I was going to skill swap away my Pixelate, I was going to, still have a Fairy move, right? And the other two moves I had on this were moves that I've never ever used ever. It was like Sunny Day and Weather Ball, so I could get a fire type move, right? But in all the battles that I did, that just never happened. So implementing my strategy here with the Gardevoir, I'm gonna trace the Pixelate on the Gardevoir, so now all of my normal moves become Fairy moves, and I have a Pixelate Gardevoir with Choice Specs. And I have Terra Blast on this. I also have Hyper Beam, just in case I need to really nuke something. I'm able to take out the Umbreon though, thank goodness, with the Terra Blast. Now I'm actually running Terra Blast Fire, which is really good synergy because in case I face off against a Steel type, I can be able to change my typing quickly to Fire so that I can just completely eviscerate it. So I'm going to go back out into my Sylveon. I don't want my Gardevoir getting paralyzed in any sense. So it's going to hit me with a Confuse Ray. I was like, what the? It revealed Nightshade earlier. So I was like, I have no idea what this could possibly be. So it's going to be some Parafusion scumbag tactics. So my Sylveon is unfortunately going to hit itself in confusion. I believe I was going to go for the Moonblast there, try to chip it, right? So it's going to go for the Nightshade. It's going to constantly whittle me down. I'm still confused. I was wondering, I don't know if I'm even going to be able to get a hit on this, but luckily I get a Moonblast off versus it. It does a pretty marginally small chunk of damage. Now, I'm not running any special attack EVs on this. I have max health and max speed. That way I could have the highest likelihood of going for a skill swap and being able to get that off with my Gardevoir. Unfortunately, the Mismagius is going to go for Nightshade and take me out. I didn't have... I hit myself in confusion. That's what happened. Anyway, so I'm going to swap back out into my Specs Gardevoir. I have Psyshock on this, so Mismagius doesn't have any good defenses whatsoever. So I figured that Psyshock would be an easy OHKO on this. So going for the Psyshock here, and that's going to be enough to take out the Mismagius, thank goodness. Otherwise, I was definitely eating a Thunder Wave from that thing. Actually, it was interesting that I outsped it. It was definitely not running max speed. I don't know Mismagius speed, that's what's on my head, actually. So in comes the Decidueye again. Like I said, I was scared of like a priority move, like a Shadow Sneak that this thing was going to go for. So I'm going to swap right back out into Shaman. If they go for U-turn, you know, that might have sucked, but like they go for Spirit Shackle. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I'm able to tank it. They actually outspeed me. So I'm running a max speed Shaman. So right then and there, I knew that they were Scarf because there was no way that they could outspeed me if they weren't Scarf, because the Decidueye speed is actually not super great, but you know, with the Scarf it actually at least solves its problems. So this was the perfect opportunity for me to swap in to Sunny, aka my Mimikyu. Now, not only do I have the Disguise, but I also have a pretty interesting Terra on this. So this is a bulky Mimikyu. It's not Swords Dance. I have leftovers on this, and I have Terra Normal Mimikyu, so I can be able to eat up any Ghost type moves. So this has Will-O-Wisp, Bulk Up, Play Rough, and Pain Split with max health and max special defense. It's a very, very bulky Mimikyu. It's really bad, but you know, I didn't want to just use regular Swords Dance Mimikyu. So I'm able to burn the Decidueye, which is huge because now it's definitely mitigated, and the burn damage is slowly going to take a toll on it. And it's Scarf, so it really is, you know, out of options essentially. So it's going to swap out. I anticipated this Meowscarada to swap in, and I was so thankful that it did because I was really scared of this Pokemon in the back. So I went for another Will-O-Wisp because I knew that they were Scarf and there was nothing that they could do. So Meowscarada is burned. I'm like, oh, this is great, you know. Meowscarada is a really problematic Pokemon with Flower Trick and Knockoff and all those types of moves, but it ended up being a special Meowscarada. I was like, what? So it's gonna Aura Sphere me. Luckily, I still have my Disguise, so my Disguise is gonna be busted, and I'm gonna go for the Play Rough here, and that's just gonna almost take it out. But the burn damage, luckily, is gonna be able to be enough to take out the Meowscarada. Hopefully my narration is good for the first time, by the way. Like, I haven't ever really done this at all, so obviously I'm gonna have like super shaky moments during these battles, but by the way, I hope you enjoyed. There are 2 battles in this video, by the way, just so I could showcase the entire team as much as I possibly can. And also I could go over my thought processes in like both games and everything. So the Leaf Blade just does absolutely nothing to me. I'm gonna be able to Play Rough, and I pretty much have this game on lockdown. Even a crit won't take me out because they're burned, and like I still have Play Rough, and I still have my Gardevoir in the back just in case. So Leaf Blade is going to not take me out, and that's going to be the end of the first game, which is very exciting. So on to the second game, where I'm able to not only show off more of this team, but also battle. I did this battle back in like before the DLC came out, fun fact. So this next battle is actually going to take place with brand new Pokemon. So I was really excited for this, but I wasn't excited to see Galvantula. So I knew right away, okay, I need to land the Stone Edge, and it has to not be Sash. miracle, by the way, that it wasn't Sash, because I was so scared of. This team has no hazard removal. This team has no steel type switches. It has no ghost type switches. Like, I was completely like, this team has. That's gonna be the issue with a lot of these teams that I use. They're just not gonna have any defensive synergy whatsoever. So Monkey Dory is, oh my god, this was a tragedy. So I didn't want to lose my Lycan Rock. I honestly feared that I would miss Stone Edge. So I swapped in Sylveon, expecting a Psychic, so that I can activate my eject button and then swap back out into my Lycan Rock. Go for a Choice Scarf, Crunch, and Revenge Kill it. But it went for Future Sight. I was like, why? I was not expecting that. That kind of actually like kind of screwed up my entire, turn, because like I could have swapped out my eject button and just had my Lycan Rock Revenge Kill this, but now I have to like kind of play around this because I didn't want to lose my Lycan Rock. There's a Pokemon in the back that I needed Lycan Rock for. Like, Lycan Rock's Choice Scarf was actually super important for this game because they had a lot of threatening Pokemon. I'm gonna miss my Will-O-Wisp, which is really unfortunate. This Mimikyu didn't really do that much this battle, unfortunately. The Future Sight almost takes it out completely, so unfortunately my Mimikyu is gonna be one of the casualties for me messing around and switching my Pokemon, just so that, I literally crit my first Stone Edge and then I landed another Stone Edge. Like, the odds that I would miss a Stone Edge were really high, So I'm gonna swap back out into my Lycan Rock. I'm just gonna go for the Crunch here. I know that I can outspeed this because I'm Scarf, and that's easily gonna be enough to take out the Monkey Dory. But damn, I was not expecting a Future Sight on my switch into Sylveon. So in comes Xfinity, the Iron Boulder. I was so excited to face this Pokemon. It's so cool. So Iron Boulder is going to have that Cork Drive, and it's going to have that Speed Boost. So I was like, no shot I'm outspeeding this. So I'm going to swap into my Sylveon here because there's no way this thing would ever want to set up a Swords Dance versus me probably. So I have to swap in my Sylveon on a fighting move. Thankfully it was Sacred Sword, and I'm going to be swapped out there with my eject button. Eject button is such a useful item, man. It's so good. I love it. So I'm gonna swap into my Shaman here. This was pretty funny. I swapped into my Shaman. It freaking has Mega Horde. I was like, oh my god, I did not expect that. Thankfully it missed, and I'm able to get that Bullet Seed off. 4 hits is easily gonna be enough to take this out, which I was kind of surprised by. But Shaman has base 100 attack. It's so disrespectful that this Pokemon is down in ZU. By the way, it was like, are you in like the last generation that it appeared in? I don't play competitive. Well, I do. I'm using competitive. No, what am I doing? Anyway, I'm gonna swap out my Shaman versus the Pesharunt, which is more than likely gonna be a nuisance versus this team. So Sylveon was the Pokemon that I was gonna sack, and it just didn't have that good of a matchup versus the rest of the Pokemon. It can get outsped, it could get taken advantage of, and yeah, so I'm gonna get badly poisoned, and the Poison Puppeteer is gonna confuse me too. So this turn I was like, okay, what should I do? Should I go for the Sunny Day? Should I just Moonblast for Chip? Like, I'm just gonna stay in. And unfortunately, this is the second battle in a row that Sylveon just hit itself in confusion, which is a funny coincidence. So the Pesharunt is gonna take me out with the Shadow Ball. Actually, it's not gonna take me out. I'm just gonna barely live, but the poison is just gonna take me out anyway. So I was thinking I could swap in my Passimian, like slowly whittle it down with Shadow Ball. Hopefully it doesn't have Recover. Hopefully it doesn't set up Nasty Plot versus me. Hopefully I don't get confused hacked by this thing's damn ability. So swapping in my Passimian, I'm just going to go for that Shadow Ball chip. Try to see how much damage I could do. Oh my god, it's like a 3-hit KO almost. So Malignant Chain is going to come out again from the Pesharunt. It does over half my health. And it poisons me again. That 50% toxic chance. It's so annoying, and of course I'm gonna get confused again. Luckily I did have my Special Mon, and I do have like other ways to revenge KO this Pokemon, like the Lycan Rock that I have in the back. Even with this thing's massive defense stat, I was thinking that I could be able to handle it with ease. So going for another Shadow Ball. Luckily I break through Confusion. I put it down to like around the 3rd health, and it's gonna take me out with the Malignant Chain. But I was thinking, that's fine. Special Passimian isn't really gonna be sweeping teams anytime soon anyway. I had Terra Fighting on that for that Terra Fighting Fist Plate Focus Blast. That Vacuum Wave, amazing. So gonna swap into my Specs Gardevoir, going for the Psyshock, and I'm gonna take out the Pesharunt, thank goodness. I was thinking that the Malignant Chain was definitely going to do a ton of damage. Might have even taken me out, honestly. So in comes the Walking Wake. I was thinking, okay, well, Unfortunately, I don't have a fairy move on this at all. I was relying specifically on pixelate strats, right? But the Walking Wake is gonna set up Manual Sun. I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's gonna get that photosynthesis boot, and luckily, it's gonna be special attack, so it's not gonna be speed boosting, which is nice. But even then, I know that they were probably setting up Sun for the Pokemon that they have in the back, which is a massive threat, and also why I decided to save my Lycanroc in the back. This demon comes in. It's interesting that my Trace now finally activated. It didn't activate versus Petron, and it didn't activate versus Walking Wake either. So, you know, that's really interesting. But of course, the Ogerpon is gonna be Terra, and it's going to Terra into its big mask form, and it's gonna get that attack boost. And Ivy Cudgel in the sun is just going to absolutely evaporate me. It was just whether or not I outsped this, whether or not it was like Adamant or Jolly. But I actually ended up outspeeding, which was like, oh wow, I actually didn't expect that I would outspeed. So Ogerpon is going to take a massive amount of damage. This was actually like super. This is why I saved my Lycanroc in the back, because I did not want to risk Stone Edge, because again, in the back of my mind I was thinking there's no way I'm landing like 3 in a row, right? So I have Terra Fighting. I'm just gonna go for the safe play, go for the Terra Fighting close combat, and that should be the game. So thank you everyone so much for watching. Sorry if my narration was very scuffed. Again, this is my first time doing this. If you have any suggestions for any franchises you would like to see turned into a Pokemon team, whether it's like other games, anime, cartoons, I have an Owl House team coming up after this. If you would like to see any of that, please feel free to comment below. I would love to see what Pokemon teams you would like to see. Thank you all so much for watching it. If you made it this far, my name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.